Welcome to Science and Social Tube channel. Kindly do not forget to subscribe our channel by hitting the below subscribe button and press the bell icon.
So, now when you feel that, when Sachin Tendulkar comes to bat, he left nothing for the next player to come and play. So, I'm very happy that, and also very proud that I'm sharing my presentation along with Dr. Ayappan and Dr. Nina sir. So, all you know that I'm not a scientist or an authority on aquaculture, but I'm just a shrimp farmer and who is practicing shrimp farming from last 27 years. So, thanks to the Kamdhenu University, Vice Chancellor Kelawala Sahab, Smith, and Dr. Patel for giving this opportunity to share my experiences with my fellow farmers of the country. So, my presentation is a very short presentation of just 10 slides and mostly focusing on management strategies of shrimp farming in post-COVID-19. You all know that mankind had seen many disasters, many natural calamities, and COVID is also one of them. So even in 27 years of my shrimp farming, we have seen 3-4 floods in Gujarat and also earthquake. But generally, what happens if there is any calamity, region or country specific, it doesn't take the toll of the entire world economy. But looking into last 45-50 days, it seems that now life and livelihood both has come into a very insecure equation. And that's what I want to start with my first slide, saying that if soon we find a cure, I think nothing is going to change in this world much. But if not, then everything is going to change in this world. And then if you talk about specific shrimp farming, we should also see the pre-COVID and if you want to make a strategies of post-COVID. So if you see, now there is a new norm for the world. Now people will remember the world not before Christ or after AD. Now people are going to remember this world before COVID and after COVID. So let me tell you that the scenario in 2009, which is pre-COVID in shrimp farming in our country, with immense hard work of all the entire industry people and the fraternity of entire farming, it took us almost 3 decades from growing from 55,000 tons of shrimp from monodon era, and now Vanami era, we are already one of the lead producers in the world where we produce more than 8 lakh tons of shrimp. We have a 38,000 crore shrimp export, which is one of the very strongest commodity to export. And then when we talk about aquaculture, there are 4 important segments of it: is seed, feed, farming, and the export. So seed production also is 75 billion last year, and feed production is almost 1.8 million ton with an average national FCR of 1.7. So let's first talk about the seed, the hatchery scenario. In India, you can see that total seed production is my videos also seen?
Yeah, it is clear, very clear.
Yeah, and the total seed production in India last time, Vanami, is 75 billion. And broodstock, what happened, this post scenario, when suddenly the India was geared up. You have to understand shrimp farming in India largely has a season starting from February and it ends at October, November. So mostly all over India, it is operational for only 8 months. So looking that the industries, especially the hatchery people, they gear up the planning right from December by importing the broodstock as per their specific requirement of 2 to 3 months. So, if you see last year, the total broodstock, especially Vanami, was imported close to 64,000 numbers. And this year already, that number came in December and January. And that will be only, can be able to supply till mid-May. Now, during lockdown, the sudden lockdown decision has disrupted each and every communication even the roads, the transports, the national, the international flights and everything. And India is mostly dependent upon the imports of these exotic brooders, exotic species brooders. So the biggest question right now in hatchery section is the short supply of broodstock. And second major thing is broodstock with live feeds supply, because the gonadic development, the maturation is largely affected by the live feed supply. And then sudden lockdown disrupted in Andhra Pradesh, because you know Andhra is 70% of the shrimp production in our country, followed by rest of the country is almost like 30%, Gujarat, Odisha and West Bengal, and part of Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. Now you see, when on 22nd March, when the national lockdown has been declared, there was not a proper knowledge for each and everybody, and the only regulatory authority was police. So fisheries was not on a priority in the essential commodity, so nothing was moving. And the hatchery division and all the hatcheries, we have almost 500 plus hatcheries, and most of them are catering, 90% of them are catering in Andhra Pradesh, East Coast. So the lack of this movement, when the seeds are available with the hatcheries, they have to drain 4 billion seeds. 4 billion seeds have been lost. And there is immense labor shortage and social obligations, because even village, there was a fierce psychosis, every management, every aspect. So the villages which were in the labor were not allowed to go to the hatchery, and those people who were working in hatchery was not allowed to go back to the village because they were in fear of getting contaminated with this thing. And also, when suddenly the lockdown was declared, there was a lot of uncertainty among the farmers whether they should continue the stocking or not. So most of the orders were cancelled, putting shrimp hatchery into a very difficult scenario. When we talk about the next very important aspect is the feed. If you see, when I said India has last year produced 8 lakh tons of shrimp with an FCR 1.7, so the total feed production in our country has touched to 1.8 million tons. Pre-COVID, because of the fish meal prices and other ingredients, already the feed price has gone up to 10%. And during lockdown, the raw material availability and mobilization of this raw material, which is mostly dependent upon the road transport, has come to an halt. So there was very uncertainty whether the feed millers will be able to supply the feed to the farmers. And again I'm saying the entire sector, because it's very cyclic and it is interrelated to each and everything. When farmers are ready, then seed has to be ready. When seed is ready, then feed has to be ready. So this point of labor shortage and during lockdown has become a common phenomenon for each and every segment of life. Right from your homemaid to the factory workers, everybody was locked down. And since most of the aquaculture is based on the rural side of the India, so the villages especially has gone into a very panic mode. And the workers' movement from village to the hatchery or village to the feed mill or village to the processing plant was completely halt. So feed is also come into a complete stop. And then we talk about the shrimp farming scenario. You have to understand that we have almost 1,20,000 numbers of farmers who are dwelling into 2 lakh hectares. Even in this 2 lakh hectare, you can say the scientific is somewhere about 1.6 lakh, and remaining 40,000 is the traditional belt of West Bengal. So in total, we can say that India is doing shrimp farming in 2 lakh hectare. And total shrimp production, as we said, it was touched almost 8 lakh ton. But here also, you can see the success. Right from Monodon era or to the Vename era, the overall success of Indian shrimp farming has moved around only 50 to 60% in between. Mostly is because of the diseases, the new emergent diseases. And this is a very important point where Dr. Ayyappan also said, and some asked the question, India, the biggest challenge India faces whenever we produce shrimp is that our dependency is purely on the foreign market. Maybe sometimes I feel that we have been now over victim of promotion of exports to the foreign market. Then as the point is very clear that we have a very negligible domestic market. We cannot compare, and when we talk about aquaculture, we even cannot compare the fish market with the shrimp market. And since white spot and many other Vibrio low diseases and all, but the major troubling since 2016 in Manami is white fecal disease and white gut disease. This has brought the profitability to almost 40-45% less. So even when the lockdown is declared, Andhra is 24/7. They always have some stock. The farmers always continue to do shrimp farming. So Andhra, when we say that even 20% of Andhra Pradesh farmers were having material, so it is almost like a 1.1 to 1.5 lakh ton they were having the material. And that sudden lockdown has created a panic. Processing plants shut down, even the ice plants shut down. There were some issues because winter crops were getting into the summer mode. So there was in East and West Godavari district, there were some incidences of ongoing white spot, and farmers were in a very distressed situation. They don't know what to do. So the many standing crops the farmers have lost because they are not able to in a position to harvest. And looking into all this thing, there is a sudden drop of 50% farmers are planned not to go for the stocking. Now you can see this chart, shrimp farming scenario in 2019. We can clearly see that Andhra Pradesh holds a major share. Almost 71% of the shrimp which is produced in India comes from Andhra Pradesh, followed by West Bengal, almost 80,000 ton, Odisha 60-65,000 ton, Gujarat 40-45,000 ton, then 20,000 ton Tamil Nadu, and rest of the country shares the same. Now, we will come to the last segment, that is shrimp farming scenario. You know that Seafood Export Association of India is one of the strongest shrimp processing association maybe in the world. And we have 612 processing plant with installed capacity 33,500 metric ton per day capacity. Now imagine India produces in a year almost 8 lakh ton, and see our installed capacity is already 33,500 ton processing capacity per day. So we are well beyond our capacity. We can still 10 times more we can process in India. And out of that 612, you can see 350 processing plants are very modern, well equipped, and with the EU approval and certification. India has total 649 cold storage also, and holding capacity with 4 lakh ton, almost 4 lakh ton, they can hold the capacity, frozen material. So in general, India total registered exporters are close to 1,519 in numbers. And in 2019, India exported shrimp worth 3,800 crore rupees. So this is the main, you can say, the backbone of all the segments in shrimp farming. Farmers are doing well, or the hatchery are doing well, but all depends upon finally getting the market, getting the profit realization, and everything comes down to the processing aspect. So COVID also, the same thing happened. As I told you, hatcheries were not able to work because of short supply, the transportation, labor mobilization. The same thing also has affected shrimp processing, because processing in an average, a single processing plant requires 250 to 300 laborers working 24/7 into 2 shifts. So labor mobilization has become a major aspects to shrimp farming, this one processing. And also, you understand, out of this 38,000 crore export and the 8 lakh ton exports, the major share comes from 70% shares come from only the USA and China. And you can see this next graph. You can see USA imports 46% of our Indian shrimps, followed by China 30%. Then EU, which was before China was almost 30%, has come down to 10%, followed by UAE, Japan, other parts. So you can imagine the Wuhan virus has erupted in China, and then finally it has devastated the USA. So both the origin and the trouble, both these countries are severely affected by COVID. So there is very panic situation even among the processors, whether how the international market is going to open and going to how it's going to behave. It's very difficult to judge. So finally, coming to the all four segment scenario, I like to suggest some suggestions and which can be very helpful for the making the strategies. First, I will start with hatchery and seed production. See, Department of Fisheries, Government of India should ensure the continuous supply. When I was preparing this presentation, 2 days back only, RJC has opened the quarantine, and they are now waiting for the importing companies to send the broodstock to our country. So at least there will be no short supply, and there will be continuous supply of broodstocks in coming May and June. But looking into this gap of 40-45 days, already hatchery has gone into deep trouble. They were having some broodstocks, but in the March 22nd lockdown, most of the hatcheries, they have to drain the very good quality seed, and there was a shutdown process for almost another batch, like 20-25 days. So, and also because of lockdown and the short supply of polychaete, the bloodworms and the live worms, which are very, very essential for the maturation and the gonadic development of the shrimp, has also given a very less survival of the good stocks remaining with the hatcheries. So the government of India must ensure, because earlier if you see, farmers, shrimp hatchery people used to book the cubicle in quarantine, and the flight timing were very particular. The schedule, the broodstock used to come in time. But now it is the other way. Now there is a disruption in the flight schedules. No one knows what time it will take for the broodstock, the live broodstock, to come in the bag, because it has to reach Delhi and the quarantine at a short interval of the hours. So that is also become very difficult. Now that government has to ensure, now instead of booking the quarantine and waiting for the flight to come, now we have to go the reverse other way, because we have to see now which country and the time and which flights will come to Delhi, and that way it has to be adjusted. Even if you see our 12 years of record, whatever the broodstock has come to the quarantine, there is hardly 1 or 2 incidences of finding any disease positive. So maybe the government of fisheries department can trust direct maturation sections of the shrimp hatcheries, and for a short period of time till there is the flight, international flight becomes regularized, the hatchery operators should be given permission to use their maturation section with a officer to use as a quarantine. Then also need of the hour, we can see that there is a lot of dependency upon our broodstock import. So there are few already planning to start in India, and the government of India has given permission to do the broodstock multiplication center. But I insist that Indian broodstock, which will be to a tune of 80,000 to 1 lakh pair in near future. So we should have more broodstock multiplication centers in India, which will be very, very useful. And the need of the hour is SPS breeding and farming of polychaete worms, because we talk about so much disease occurrence and SPF programs and all, but sometimes what happens, we don't understand the very important link of feeding the live worm to the broodstocks. If these live worms, which are mostly collected from the wild open environment, can also contaminate the SPF broodstock. So it is a very, very important for the industry to have a very biosecured and disease-free shrimp farming. The need of the hour is to have a SPF breeding and farming program of polychaete worms. This is what is required. 3 very important points for the hatcheries to make a strategies during the COVID and post-COVID. And then also now we'll come to the next thing. We'll come to the feed production. There are more, 80-85% of the shrimp is produced in South Asia, and now Latin America, the South America is almost contributing 12 to 15%. So, but if you see the geography, the demography everywhere, there are different ingredients used in that particular area as per the availability and suitability of the animals. So India permission, we don't have much permission. We cannot use for GMO soya. But I think GMO soya and other protein source, animal protein source, with restriction to use only in shrimp and fish should be permitted, because that will give a lot of freedom to formulate the feed with cost benefit ratio. There will be then reduction in the cost also. But right now, our over dependency on the fish meal is also creating a very, very big problem. And the second point, what I say is that there should be an exemption in import duties on the fish meal. Because once you see there is almost 10% of import duty levied on the import of the fish. And when there is a huge demand of fish meal, because of the lack of proper rules and regulation, there is a very indiscriminate fishing happens in India to support the fish meal production. So when we exempt these duties and a lot of fish meal can be freely imported in our country, we can also preserve our natural resources and indiscriminate fishing in our country. So this is a very important point for the feed millers to have a tax-free import on the fish meal and the other animal source protein. The research-based farming should also be done in India when it comes to edible insects and other protein sources, which are not right now considered as you can say is unethical in India. Should be promoted to do research based and scientific farming. Then it can be commercialized to support the animal protein into the aquatic feeds. Improvement in logistic and feed mobilization. This is now, if you see, because I told you I'm a pure farmer, and then I'll come back to that. Because feed constitutes and contributes 55 to 60% of cost of production of the feed. Now, when I started shrimp farming in 1994, I will tell you the only thing which remained stable, almost stable, is the seed price. When I started 1994-95, that time also the monodon seed was as 50 paisa. Now also on average, if you see India, the Venami, SPF Venami seed, and Andhra maybe 30-35 paisa, and when including the transport, it comes to Gujarat by air, hardly is 50-55 paisa. So if you see 25 years, the only constant factor remain in our country is the seed price. But imagine the feed price. From 36 rupees, it has gone to now almost 90 rupees per kilo, and which contributes to 60% of the cost of production. Now, I remember when we used to produce shrimp in 2002 or 2003, our cost of production was hardly 210, 215 rupees. Now, same shrimp at 30 count in Gujarat, we need to spend almost 300 to 320 rupees for the production. So, when I'm addressing to this point, improvement in logistic and feed mobilization and also minimizing the distribution channel, you see the feed, the dealer cost is somewhere about 75 rupees and the MRP is 93. So almost 23 rupees is been an extra burden on a primary shrimp farmer who is holding 1 pond, 2 pond, because the marketing channel is like that. Where I go to Ecuador and there, where the farmers are more than 100 hectare or 200 hectare individual farmers. So the feed is directly trucked to their farms at a factory price. So the efficiency of cost of production comes very high. Suddenly, if you imagine, you save 20 rupees a kilo. It's a huge price for a primary producer. So I also think that government should look into these aspects, how they can effectively improve the logistic and feed mobilization in our country, especially to the areas like Gujarat, West Bengal and Odisha. I'm still audible to everybody?
Yes, sir. Very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Very clear.
Now
yes, sir, it's clear.
Now I'm coming to the third major point, that is shrimp farming. Now, if you see, as I said, 8 lakh tons of shrimp has been produced, and I'm very thankful to Government of India that they have seen earlier. You know, when I was getting into shrimp farming and the fisheries business. Even my father-in-law was not agreeing to give me the daughter, because he said, "Oh, what fishing you are doing?" You know, it was always had a stigma and disrespect to the business. Everything which is doubtful was considered to as fishy. But today I am very proud to tell you that India has become number one producer in shrimp. And the government has seen that export potential and given a separate department and fisheries ministry. So I'm thankful to the government for glorifying our segment, the fisheries segment, and we are feeling very proud of it. But here I will tell you that now I was attending a seminar of the Confederation of Indian Industry. See, the target which has given for our farmers to double the production. As Dr. Ayyappan said, it is important to double the production, but this is the first time our Prime Minister has said we should double the income of the farmer. So friends, looking into the shrimp farming, because I'm into shrimp farming, so I'm telling, see, producing overproduction is never a profitable game for anybody. Now I will tell you, if you see the world market, 4.2 million ton is the world shrimp market, and you'll be surprised. India and Ecuador together are producing 14 lakh tons, almost 35-40% of the world basket. And surprisingly, both these countries have lack of domestic market, not even 95%, 5% domestic market, 95% is purely dependent. So even coming back to India, when we produce 8 lakh ton, and out of that, when 99% is dependent upon export, and such things happen, some natural calamity or unseen natural calamity, so the whole industry comes to a halt. Today, when I am talking to you, I'm into the mid of the season, and right now Gujarat would have done 100% stocking. We have 12,500 ponds, but because of lack of seed transport, the airport closed down. It is not feasible to carry the seeds in truck from Andhra Pradesh because it cannot survive more than 18 hours of transportation. Only 30-35% farms have been stopped. Andhra already lost the crop. So farmers are in a panic situation. They don't want to do the crop. Same the story with West Bengal and Orissa. So my dear friends, those who are listening to this seminar, imagine last year shrimp farming has done 40,000 crore rupees turnover. If no farm is running, the entire wheel of aquaculture industry is going to be jammed. And already I can see if 30% farmers are all India, if they are going to do, means we are only going to produce somewhere about 3 lakh ton. There will be 60 to 70% reduction in the entire exports, and how big that toll will be. So I request, I appeal to all shrimp farmers that we should have an all-round year production. Like I request that, like for example, I have my own 200 ponds, so I don't go 200 pond at a go. I go every 40 days cycle 50 ponds, so I can have almost like 8-9 month production in my farm. And again I will repeat on the domestic market is the need of the hour. Imagine a one slogan has changed the fortune of the poultry industry. Sunday ho ya Monday, rose khai ande. The National Egg Coordinating Committee. The need of the hour. We have already, the government has given 7,522 crores of aquaculture infrastructure budget. But imagine, since we have NFDB, we have many MPDA, but a little attention has been given to promote shrimp in our domestic market. What it takes, maybe 5 crore, 10 crore to rope in a celebrity like Sachin Tendulkar or a good cricketer or a better film actor holding few shrimps in the hand and come out with a slogan. So I think the change will, in the blink of the eye. We have 136 crore population. Imagine 50% of them is 70 crore consume only 1 kilo shrimp. Who needs the export market? This 7 to 8 lakh ton shrimps will be consumed in India itself. So that can be a very, very big support to the farmers. Right now, everything is depending upon exports. They stop, the whole industry stops. So I think that is the very need of the hour. So India, this is the right time. Lockdown, if the people who are in the policy, who are in the government, those who are listening to me, I appeal to them. If you want to save this 50,000 crore rupees industry, domestic market is the need of the hour. And then I will come to also that our farming system should not be single species dependent. You imagine 45,000 crore rupees of shrimp only depend upon single species vanami. We are losing our indigenous monodon, we are losing our indigenous indicus. Even government machineries, even the research institutes, scientists should think to at least we should have few species to support the sector. Otherwise, single species dependency is going to kill. Imagine today, COVID has come to the mankind, like what spot has come to shrimp farming. Today, there is a DIV, the new emerging disease again coming and striking the China. What if that comes through the vanami? The industry will come to an halt. So the single species dependency is not good for anybody. So we should revive back, get monodon back. We should also revive indicus, and we should also do focus on freshwater shrimp farming. And then the fourth and final segment, which I will come to, is like farming and processing. Now here I will tell you, in 25 years, not offending to anybody, but let me speak my very clear mind. Whenever we talk about processing and farmers in our India, we have a Chhattis Kakada. We say, no, like we fight with each other always, like an India-Pakistan battle. Farmers think that processor making cattle, processor making a group and trying to give the less price. Whereas the farmers think, the processor thinks farmers not doing shrimp farming into the best management practices, the use of antibiotics has to be stopped, blah, food safety norms and all. But have you ever seen in last 20-25 years, there is any joint meeting between processors and farmers? There is a healthy meeting, there is a seminar or like now webinar, nothing. This time has come that processors and farmers should sit not across the table. They should on the one side and come out with the differences and make up. Because this is a very important. I produce and they sell. If I cannot produce, they cannot sell. So it's so interdependent. We are opposite side of the same coin. If one side is bad, the coin will not run. खोटा सिक्का उसको करार दिया जाएगा. So I appeal on this platform. I appeal. This is because there are only 300-400 top processors and there are 2 lakh numbers of farmers, but they are interdependent upon each other. So unless and until what the world demands, requires, what the processor wants, that has to be nicely communicated to the farmers, and farmers should also equally respond to the international market demands. Then only this industry will thrive. Otherwise, if the differences are not solved, very recently, last week I have posted on my social media that appeal to shrimp farmers that we should resolve our differences or come together. Otherwise, it is inevitable. We have to die separately. So the need of the hour is that processors and shrimp farmers should be one. And then for the processing also, because we have seen since ages, since the shrimp farming era, India has been always supplying a frozen raw material, which has been taken to the foreign countries, thawed, reprocessed, and value added. So right now the government and then when we talk about skill development and skill empowerment to the
Do not forget to subscribe our channel by hitting the below subscribe button and press the bell icon.